Hi guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Megan, by the way. I still forget to say that in like every video, but yes, anyway, I'm Megan. And my last name is Music, which is why this channel is called Manuscripts, Music, and More. So today I want to talk to you guys about the weirdest book that I've ever come across, and I have not finished reading it. I started it a long time ago and I need to restart it, but my interest has been renewed because I realized no one on BookTube has ever mentioned this book. Like, I watch a lot of booktubers, never seen anybody talk about it, and it is so bizarre. So the book is called S, sort of. There's a book within a book, which is why it gets really complicated. Sort of called The Ship of Theseus, but it's really called S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst. So if you know J.J. Abrams, he is a movie director. He came up with the idea for this book, and it is so bizarre. And I guess he had an actual writer, Doug Dorst, help him to create this idea that he had come up with. Okay, so what is this book and why is it so weird? Well, first of all, it's the only book I've ever come across that I don't know how to read it. There are multiple ways. There are at least 4 different ways you could read this book, and I'll show you what I mean when I'm showing it to you. So I'm not even sure which way is the best way to read it or which way I'm going to read it. But anyway, so, okay, it's called S, and it's a fake library book. So the book comes in this case, first of all. So when you take it out, and on the back, it kind of tells you, yeah, 1 book, 2 readers, a world of mystery, menace, and desire. There is a lot going on here. Like, I don't even know where to start. So this is a fake library book called The Ship of Theseus by V.M. Straka, who is like, a made-up author. Like I said, I already told you who the real authors are. You can see the side. It's got like a fake library sticker on it. So the book comes like this. It also comes filled with stuff in it. So when you start flipping through the pages, you see that there are inserts, handwritten letters, there are postcards, there are, cards, there are fake articles. It's like supposedly people have stuck this in this library book. So it is very easy to lose some of this stuff. I mean, it's like some sort of puzzle thing. So I hear that it's really hard for libraries to kind of keep up with this, because people could lose all these inserts. And and you kind of need to read them on the page that they're stuck in, so you can't just stick them everywhere. I've seen online there's like guides even to make sure that you have these stuck on, in the right pages. And I just wonder, how they even do the audiobook. Like, I know there is an audiobook, but I don't know how they do it. I know I was trying to find the cool one. Sorry, I know this is probably kind of noisy, but one of the things stuck in here is even a napkin with like a map drawn on it that the people have left to each other. Here it is. I mean, it is literally a napkin with a map. How crazy is that? So because of this, the book is a little bit more expensive than a normal book. I bought it years ago and I was trying to see how much I paid for it. $35. And that was years ago. So I expected maybe it's even more now. And that's because of all these, extra things inserted in the middle, but clearly it makes it worth it. So what is the deal with this book and why is it so weird? Well, not only can you see it starts off kind of strange, but there's sort of 3 different stories going on in this book at the same time. So there's the story of the Ship of Theseus. Like, the authors, Doug Dorst, J.J. Abrams, they actually wrote this fake book by this V.M. Straka. You could just read that if you wanted to. You could just straight up read the text of this book. So I'm going to show you kind of what a page looks like. Okay, can you see that? So you could read that text that's not on the side, right? You could just read the middle text. Now, there's that story. There's also the story of 2 people who discover this book in the library. So these students are in college. I believe one's in like graduate school and one's like undergrad. I was going to see if it said. One's a college senior and one's a disgraced grad student, both facing crucial decisions about who they are, who they might become, and how much they're willing to trust another person with their passions, hurts, and fears. Their names are Jennifer and Eric, and they discover this book, and they start writing back and forth to each other in the margins. So I did not write in this. This is not my scrambled, scribblings in here. This is actually in the book. And they discover the book, and they start writing to each other in it. Like, one of them checks out the book, writes some notes in it, returns the book to the library, and then the other one checks it out and sees that person's notes and then writes a response. Turns it back in. the next person, the first person checks it out again, writes notes back to the person. So because they've checked out the book multiple times, there are things written in different colored ink throughout the book, which makes it all the more confusing. So for example, if you take a look at this page right here, there you go, you can see that there are different colored writings on this page over here. So that's because, like, one time when they went through, they used like yellow and green ink. So that's like one time they read the book. One time they used like purple and red. So here's where it gets tricky. When you're thinking about how to read this book, do you read just the first time they all talk to each other and read the whole book that way? Like, I think the first time is where they have the blue ink and the black ink. I think. I could be wrong, but I think it's where they have blue and black. Yeah. So do you go through this book and do you read just the blue and black ink throughout the entire book to see what their first conversation was like? And then you go back and look through the next color of ink that they wrote, which I think was maybe the green and yellow. I'd have to look back and see. There's guides online that tell you. And then, so do you read all the green and yellow because that's their next conversation that they had? And then you go back and you read all the, I think it's the purple and red next, I think. So do you go back and read all that? And then do you go back the last time and read whatever the last color is? Maybe there's only 3. Oh, no, black. No, it's like both of them writing in black at the very end. Do you go back and read all that? Or do you read one whole, each page at a time, and on each page you read every set of their conversation? Although I feel like that would be confusing because you won't have seen all the stuff in between. Like, if you read every time they've talked to each other, they've said a lot of things throughout this entire book that you wouldn't have read in that part of the conversation. So I don't know. That's a question for the ages, I suppose. And then the other question is, do you read the actual ship of Theseus along with it? Do you read the actual text of this book? So you could read just the text of the book and then go back and read all the side notes. Or you could read the two as you go, right? Like, you could read the page of the book and then read their notes. Or, option 3, you could read the pages of the book and then the first set of their notes. And then go back when you're finished and read all the rest, like the second set of their notes, the third set, each time that they talked back and forth to each other when they picked up this book, to make sure you kind of read it more in chronological order. Or the fourth way is just to not even read the ship of Theseus at all. Don't read this. And the main part the main story is really the notes in the margins. So you could just read that, because that is where the mystery comes in that I'll tell you about in a second. We haven't even got to what this book is about yet. So those are the 4 different ways that I've discovered that you could read this book. I don't even know. I honestly did try starting to read it. I started to read the actual ship of Theseus part, and I think I was trying to read the side notes too. I was a little bit confused just because there was so much going on. I think for me, I would have to read their conversations one at a time. The first time they wrote to each other, like in one color of ink, then go back and read the whole second time, the whole third time, and the whole fourth time. So I tried reading the ship of Theseus, though, as I went, and I didn't like it. It was really boring. So I might just read the side notes and call that the story. So anyway. Okay, so this book is also sort of a mystery. So the author of the fake book within this book, Ship of Theseus, this V.M. Straka, nobody knows anything about him. He is very mysterious, and they are trying to basically figure out who he is and what is his deal. So part of this is a mystery about who this author is. So in fact, I think the back of the box even calls him like one of the main characters. Yeah, we kind of follow 3 things in the book, which is the book itself, which is supposedly the final novel of this V.M. Straka, who was an enigmatic author. And it follows the book, The Ship of Theseus, is about a man with no past. He's shanghaied onto a strange ship with a monstrous crew and launched on a disorienting and perilous journey. But like I said, I remember it being really boring, so I don't know that I would read it. The writer, V.M. Straka, the incendiary and secretive subject of one of the world's greatest mysteries, a revolutionary about whom the world knows nothing apart from the words he wrote and the rumors that swirl around him. So the 2 main characters that are writing back and forth to each other in the margins are trying to figure out what is up with this author. So it's a lot of like mystery and then trying to like find him and communicate with him and things like that. So that part is the most intriguing part to me, which is, and of course, and then they're leaving each other clues and things that they find, you know, throughout the book. So I think, to me, this would be the most intriguing way to read it, would be just to read the margin notes and to do it in a different order than I did before when I was really confused, because I was like, why is it, like, this isn't making any sense? Well, it's because I was reading every single time they wrote to each other all at once, but I hadn't heard the rest of their conversations yet, so it didn't make any sense. So I think my new plan is don't read the Ship of Theseus part at all, for me anyway, just because I didn't like it the first time that I tried. And to just look online, make sure I know which order that their handwriting is in, you know, which color of ink they used, and then read all the first time, read all the second time, and so on. So I'm going to give it one more shot, because this is one of the most intriguing books I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a book that's a book within a book, or where the main story is in the margins about these characters. I've never seen a book with multiple ways to read it, or honestly a book that is this kind of complicated. So check it out if you're interested, if that sounds cool to you. Like I said, I guess I'd call this mostly a mystery novel, I suppose. I'm not sure if there could be a love story between the two main characters who are writing back and forth to each other as well. It's possible. So let's find out. I highly recommend it. Go buy this book. Let's see what it's about together. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's something different. It was a book I've just been wanting to talk about for a long time. There's another really strange book I'd like to talk about called House of Leaves. Some of you have probably heard of that one, though. I feel like it's a little bit more talked about on BookTube than this one. I've never heard of S being talked about. But yeah, so this is actually the front cover. So go check out S. Let me know what you guys think. And if you're interested in reading it, let me know down in the comments. So I will talk to you guys later. Bye.